All right. I'd like to start off by saying Barakatah Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Kodash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is Agents and Controlled Opposition. And pretty much, if you've been watching what's been going on lately with this whole NFAC thing, you're seeing individuals out there, marching, or should I say, taking up arms, saying they're going to kill, these devils, and at the same time claiming the 12 tribes, saying certain things that the Hebrew Israelites say, because they're trying to tie it all together. Because you have to understand, the average person out there does not have the ability to decipher between someone who is a Hebrew Israelite from a spiritual organization and someone that's just claiming to be that, and doing other things. So to them, they'll lump everything together. And this is why these devils do what they do. This is why these devils are, have this, amalgamation, so to speak, which is a bringing together a whole bunch of things like that, because the average person out there doesn't have the mind to think, outside of the box. And they wouldn't be able to say, well, you know what, this guy is saying this and this and that, but he's not a Hebrew Israelite as far as the spiritual Hebrew Israelite men that are out there teaching the word, because he's taking up arms, he's doing this, he's saying that, he's saying the other. And I'm talking about this guy, Grandmaster J. And he in one breath he's saying Yahweh, another breath he's saying Yehuda is the Most High's name, and another breath he's saying Yahweh. So this guy is sending a lot of mixed messages out there, because at the end of the day, it's all about confusion. Remember, Ordo, Ab, Ko, and that's the order of the day. So they're sending these agents out there that were groomed by, Esau, to and trained by Esau. That's why they know all these different terminologies, and they know certain things that we teach, and they use certain things that we teach to, at the end of the day, tie all of that together so it could justify these devils coming. There's a great persecution coming against the Hebrew Israelites, the people of the Lord, and it's coming very soon. We see it we see everything playing out exactly how the scriptures say. Now, I said all that. Oh, and another thing, by the way, this guy, before I go into the next point, this guy, Grandmaster J, right? I thought about this yesterday, which is not, not a great revelation, but the term Grandmaster is a Freemasonic term, because he's been set up either by the Freemasons or whatever group out there, they have to, on this mission. Just like Vocab is on the mission, he's on the mission, and they're all a part of the same thing. This is why it's called Agents and Controlled Opposition. But we'll get to Vocab in a minute. It says a Grand Master is the title of honor as well as an office in Freemasonry, given to a Freemason elected to oversee a Masonic jurisdiction. So pretty much this guy is an overseer. He's a Freemason that's an overseer over those black militia groups trying to tie him into the Hebrew Israelites. All right. And it says, derived from the office of Grand Master in chivalric orders, he presides over a Grand Lodge and has certain rights in the constituent lodges that form his jurisdiction. And that's going into, these different men that are under him, and his movement is growing. So now, which leads us to the next point, because we know he's set up, which leads us to the next agent, or controlled opposition, which is vocab. Now, vocab did a video, which I watched about 45 minutes of it so far. I forced myself to watch it, just to, so it's like 2 hours long. I'm gonna see if I can watch some more. But the name of the video is NFAC, Hebrew Israelite Militia, as a question. NFAC, Hebrew Israelite Militia, as a question. And he says, no, not really. Now you have to listen to what these devils do and say, because around the 44-minute mark, vocab said, now watch, they're gonna say that I'm trying to tie the NFAC with the Hebrew Israelites, which I said not, that they're not, because he did mention around a 21-minute mark and 21-minute, 30-second mark, he says that he's not a Christian, he's not a Hebrew Israelite, sometimes sounds like a Christian, or sometimes he sounds like a Hebrew Israelite. So what vocab pretty much is doing, he's doing a lot of double speaking. That's why it says, the title is NFAC Hebrew Israelite Militia? No, not really. See? So really he should have just said no. But he says no, not really, because what he's doing is he's leaving room for doubt. And that's what the devil does. Let's go real quick to the book of Genesis 3:1. It says, now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field. What does it mean to be subtle? It means that you are acute, you are very wise, you are very slick and sly. Let's go to the concordance real quick, or the Strong's concordance, and let's look up Genesis 3:1, and let's see what it says for subtle. We've done it before, but let's do it again. Subtle, irawum, cunning, usually in a bad sense, and in Esau's case, or vocab's case, in a bad sense. Crafty, prudent, subtle. All right, so now let's look up this word subtle in the Common Dictionary. Because yes, vocab did not say that he was a Hebrew Israelite. He did say, that so like, let me just, but what he did say was, what he did say was that he has hints of Hebrew Israelism, as he calls it, because he calls it an ideology. He doesn't call it a fact, even though it is a fact according to the Bible. He calls it an ideology. So it says that he's subtle. So what he's doing, he's casting doubt, because that's what the serpent does. That's why the scriptures call the beast, calls it that the red dragon, which is Satan, that old devil, which is Satan, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan. Now I looked up the word subtle. It's also spelled subtle, S-U-B-T-L-E. Sometimes it's spelled S-U-B-T-I-L, but that didn't come up, so S-U-B-T-L-E. Subtle, difficult to detect or grasp by the mind or analyze. And this is what vocab is doing. Vocab is doing the same exact thing that Grandmaster Jay is doing. Grandmaster Jay, there's a part in the video where vocab said that this guy, he has all different types of beliefs. He reads from all different types of books. Sometimes he sounds like a Christian, sometimes he sounds like a Hebrew Israelite, and he used a term called syncretism. Now, syncretism is pretty much the amalgamation of all these different religions. I don't know if it's gonna come up. Syncretic, okay, syncretic or syncretism. It says relating to a historical tendency for a language to reduce its inflections of characterized syncretism. Syncretism isn't really coming up. That's what I really wanted to get. I believe that's the term he used, syncretism, which, if I'm not mistaken, I believe it means, the amalgamation of all, a bunch of different things put together, like a bunch of different, um, a bunch of different religions. If I'm not mistaken on the terminology, I would have to look it up again. Just because I can't pull it up. I just have an offline dictionary. But anyway, Jam Master Jay, or Grandmaster Jay, and Vocab, they both are working on the same team, and they both do the same thing. That's why this guy will say, one minute he'll say Yahweh, another minute he'll say Yahweh, another minute he'll say Yehuda is the Most High's name, because he's sending a lot of different mixed messages. He'll read from the book of Enoch. He'll read from another book called Bronze something, which Vocab went into in that video that they have, which was a record, according to the definition, was a record of the Egyptians, that they kept after the Hebrew Israelites left out of Egypt. So there's a whole lot of mix-up going on. So that's why it says here in Genesis 3:1, now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field, because he's very cunning, very crafty. And that's why he'll say, I'm not saying that he's a Hebrew Israelite, but he does have tenets of Hebrew Israelism, as he calls it. And then he also said that the guy is saying all of this. Sometimes he sounds like a Christian, sometimes he sounds like a Hebrew Israelite, while wearing the eye of Ra. So this guy is all over the place, right? Then, and the 29-minute, 25-second point of the video, it says he has Hebrew Israelism in the mix. So what is it? Is he a Hebrew Israelite or not? Well, Vocab knows damn well that the average person out there is not going to be able to discern between the two. All they got to hear is him say anything that sounds remotely close to what we are saying, and then they'll tie and lump everyone together, because at the end of the day, it's all about persecution. Because remember, Project Megiddo states that one of the main, outside of these white supremacist groups, one of the main threats to them is the black Hebrew Israelites, not just the Hebrew Israelites. That's why they keep pushing black Hebrew Israelites, because they have to keep that term black Hebrew Israelites out there, because that is the term that is in their legislation. You see? So they have to keep everything the same. All right? So now let's read this again. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field, which the Lord Yahweh power had made. And he said unto the woman, Yea, hath the Most High said, You shall not eat of every tree of the garden? So he was being cunning. He was being subtle. It was a loaded question, which he knew the answer to, and he knew how she would answer. He knew that she was the weaker vessel. That's why he went to her. He didn't go to Adam. So that's why Vocab and Grandmaster Jay are doing the same exact thing. They're playing on the ignorance and stupidity of the people, at the same time acting as if their interest is the best interest for these people. You see? It says, and the woman said unto the serpent, We may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, the Most High said, Ye shall not eat of it, neither shall you touch it, lest you die. So he knew already what her answer was going to be. And this is what he said. And the serpent said unto the woman, You shall not surely die. So what did that do? When he said that, that piqued her interest. Like, what do you mean by that? Instead of being like, no, the Heavenly Father said, if we eat of that, we're going to die. I don't care what you say. No, she was like intrigued. That's why he went to the woman. That's why Vocab Malone and Grandmaster Jay are playing on the ignorance of these people, right? It says, and the serpent said, it says, For the Most High doth know that in the day you eat thereof, then your eyes shall be open, and you shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. So he told her the truth in the sense of, eating of that tree would open up your eyes to know good and evil. But he lied to her when he said that you shall not surely die, because that was a commandment of the Lord not to eat of that tree. So what happened? You know the rest. So now what I want to do is I want to look up this term controlled opposition, and Lord's will build a lesson out of there. Lord's will, it'll be edifying, because I didn't really put any scriptures together. I just got a couple of precepts in mind. But I looked up the term controlled opposition, and I got an article. I was gonna go to Wikipedia, but they redirected you to something else, so I didn't want that, so I just went here. This is from a site called medium.com, as you can see there. That's medium.com, if you can see it. It says, what is controlled opposition? Roderick Campbell. This is dated August 29, 2019. It says, the best way to control the opposition is to lead them. He started off with a quote by Vladimir Lenin. It's, if you go online and search for the controlled opposition, you will find over 2 million results, and essentially all of them are garbage. This is a tactic which has been used throughout the entirety of known human history. And yet you'll find the inherent, the internet has been cleaned of almost every meaningful reference. My first introduction to controlled opposition was George Orwell's book, 1984, a dystopian novel which paints a vivid picture of a grim future. Humanity has become the slave of perpetual warfare, inescapable government surveillance, insidious propaganda, and irrational denialism. Does this remind you of the project for the new American century? It should. And that's true. When you watch that movie, they show you that pretty much everything is controlled. You notice the individuals that were in that movie, the jobs that they had was what? To rewrite history, rewrite newspapers. You know, like they'll sit there and they'll read through an article, and when they read the article, right, they'll change part of the article, and they'll put, you know, a different face or a different name on an individual that was charged with a particular crime, because what they do was they were deflecting and changing things, and that's pretty much what they do. They manipulate people's minds by way of this media, which is pretty much, you know, sorcery. You know, so now I'm gonna go here, and I noticed a couple of brothers been putting precepts, so I want to see. Beautiful. This is the book, Brother I'm a One I Bought. It says, wow, Ecclesiastes 3:24. For many are deceived by their own vain opinion, and an evil suspicion hath overthrown their judgment. Verse 25. Without eyes thou shalt want light. Profess not the knowledge, therefore, that thou hast not. A stubborn heart shall fear evil at the last, and he that loveth danger shall perish therein. That's right. And that's a perfect scripture for Grandmaster J. The brother Elder Manat Zakba, 2 Corinthians 6:17. Wherefore come out from among them, and be ye separate, saith the Lord Yahweh Shem Shai, and touch not the unclean thing, and I will receive you. That's right. And will be a father unto you, and you shall be my sons and daughters, saith the Lord Almighty. The brother Shalom, Psalm 70:2. Let them be ashamed and confounded that seek after my soul. That's right. Let them be turned backward and put to confusion that desire my hurt. Verse 5. But I am poor and needy. Make haste unto me, O Most High. Thou art my help and my deliverer, O Lord. Make no tarrying. All right. Let's see what else we got. The brother GMS fight for salvation. John 10:10. The thief cometh not but for to steal and to kill and to destroy. I am come that they might have life, and that they might have it more abundantly. Yeah, because at the end of the day, this guy Jam-Master J is nothing more, or Grandmaster J is nothing more than agent provocateur. You know, and he was set up as such, as controlled opposition. So now let's go back to this article, see what else we could find. It says, in Orwell's novel, people focus on the superstates, the thought police, and Big Brother. But in fact, the single greatest character is a forgettable person named Goldstein. He is the leader of the Brotherhood, and he is based on Leon Trotsky within the narrative of the novel. Goldstein is supposed to be the hero whose revolutionary writing inspires those woke minds within the system to rise up and dismantle the corrupt system in which they're enslaved. Yet, as the novel progresses, Orwell soon reveals to us that the heroic Goldstein is nothing more than fiction, a character created by the dominant culture to bait dissenters into the open so that they can be identified and neutralized. Orwell uses Goldstein to paint a vivid picture of controlled opposition. And that's exactly what's happening with this dude, Grandmaster Jay. He seems like he's against Esau. He seems like he's against the establishment. It seems like he's for the, for the upliftment of his people. But in fact, he is nothing more than a controlled opposition that they're using to draw those people out so that when the time comes, they can roll on those people. So those people are being led to the slaughter. Matter of fact, let's go to John, St. John, the 10th chapter. And all that guy is nothing more than a spy. He's nothing more than an agent. And he's going to get a lot of you Israelites out there killed. And the Lord got a heavy demonic spirit on that guy to where he's into everything. He's into everything. He's read all different kinds of books. He knows about all different kinds of things. He knows about, Christianity. He knows about the Hebrew Israelites. He knows the difference between those one West, where one West started from. He knows the difference between others that are not a part of one West, but are still Hebrew Israelites. He knows a whole lot of stuff because they groomed them such. You have to understand that these individuals are groomed. They're not stupid. They're very intelligent, and that's why they choose them and pay them to do what they do. That's why he's known as what? In the scriptures, as a hireling. St. John 10:1. Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that entereth not by the door into the sheepfold, but climbeth up some other way, the same is a thief and a robber. Yeah, because what is the door? Yahweh Shai is the door. Yahweh Bashem Shai are the door. So what is he saying? He's pretty much pushing the narrative of a black Messiah. He's pushing the narrative of a black Messiah, of him being painted as such. You see? So he's pushing that. He's not pushing Yahweh Shai. He's not pushing, he's not pushing the hope and waiting for salvation of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. He's pushing of, let's do this now. We got to take up arms and do this. We got to do this. We got to do that, because if we don't do something, what's going to happen is they're going to keep doing what they're doing. So pretty much he's denying the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. He's denying that Yahweh Shai is the Savior and that Yahweh Shai is coming back to deliver us. So it says, but he that entereth in by the door is the shepherd of the sheep, which first and foremost, that begins with Yahweh Shai, and it begins with the men that the Lord set up, as the shepherds and the pastors of the flock. This is nothing but Satan. You see this shit? All this big ass fucking park here. These guys got to be right fucking here. This is nothing but Satan. Anyway, let's move on. Salaki, I'm just thinking out loud. It says, to him the porter openeth, and the sheep hear his voice. And that's the truth, because Yahweh Shai, the sheep of the Lord will hear. Because you got to remember, there's going to be things that are going to be said and done out here that are going to be so spectacular that even the people of the people of the elect, will almost be deceived. Let's go real quick to that. Matthew 24:24. It says, for there shall arise false anointed, which that's a so-called black Messiah, a Grandmaster Jay, and false prophets, same thing, Vocab Malone and all those different individuals, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. But it's not possible. But the thing about it, it's going to be so spectacular that even the it's going to be so spectacular that even the elect would almost be deceived by what's going on, you know. And that's why, you know, Barakatah Yahweh Bashem Yahushai for having this truth, and having this truth only to be given to the elect, because this truth is very precious. You know, that's why if you find someone that you're trying to teach and they don't get it, you have to leave them alone and move on, because this truth is not for everybody. You know, because you have some individuals out there that think they're so wise that I know how to word things. I know how to use wordplay. I know how to manipulate people's minds. So I'm going to make them listen and learn and understand this truth. No, you're going off, man, because this is of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. And only the Lord will tap into a person's brains if they are part of the elect. Yahweh Shai said, no man can come to me except the Father from heaven draweth him, and I will raise him up at the end. And that's where we're at. We're at the end. So the only ones being raised up right now are the elect. And the rest are going to go into the slaughter. And that's what this guy has set up. He's set up as a Judas goat, Grandmaster J. Vocab Malone is set up as a Judas goat. But his Judas goatness is based off of trying to tie us in, you know, with Islam and different terrorist groups, you know. So when they roll, they're not going to make a distinction. Now, he did clearly say in the video that he's not, you know, saying that this guy is a Hebrew Israelite. And he even said, he said, watch, they're going to say that Vocab Malone is trying to tie us in to the NFAC. He did say that. And he said that that's not what he's doing. But what he is doing is he's casting doubt by saying this individual, he's not a Christian, he's not a Hebrew Israelite, but sometimes he sounds like a Christian, sometimes he sounds like a Hebrew Israelite. At the same time, we're in the eye of Horus, getting into this, getting into that. And then he later on in the video, he goes on to say he has Hebrew Israelism in the mix. And then as you go further into the video, there's a part where in the video he plays a clip of this guy Grandmaster J using the term Edomite, right? And then Vocab Malone goes on to say he uses Edomite Hebrew Israelism slur, which is not a slur, it's the truth. They are the modern day Edomites. These so-called white people are the Edomites. When you go through all the different prophecies of who the Edomites are, it fits nobody else but the so-called white man that's in rulership right now. So he's doing a lot of double talking, you know, a lot of, you know, he'll joke around a little here and there, you know, and then he got these two clowns with him, you know, these two Sambos, because you can't call him Uncle Tom. Uncle Tom was a good guy, but that's just like saying you can't say that so-called Jesus Christ, the image of so-called Jesus Christ started with Caesar Borgia when it really began with Serapis Christus, but it's been ingrained in the mind of Jake that it started with Caesar Borgia. So every time we speak on it, we're going to always say Caesar Borgia instead of going all the way back to Serapis Christus and then later on to Caesar Borgia. The same thing with Uncle Tom. Uncle Tom was a good guy. He helped Jake. He was the type of individual that if a Jake was short on their cotton so that they wouldn't get beat, he would take cotton out of his bag and put it in the Jake's bag so that the Jake wouldn't get beat. So he was a good guy. It was Esau, you know, them devils that made the term Uncle Tom be a bad term because he was against them. And the Edomites set up Sambo to beat Uncle Tom, you know, and Sambo was a real sellout. All right. So now let's go back to St. John 10:4. And when he putteth forth his own sheep, he goeth before them, and the sheep follow him, for they know him. Let me read 3 again. To him the porter openeth, and the sheep hear his voice, and he calleth his own sheep by name, and leadeth them out. And when he putteth forth his own sheep, he goeth before them, and the sheep follow him, for they know his voice. And a stranger, this is the point, and a stranger will they not follow. So a stranger, a strange voice, they're not going to follow. So the elect are not going to follow after individuals like Vocab Malone or Grandmaster Jay or anyone out there that's teaching a wayward doctrine. It says, and will flee from him, for they know not the voice of strangers. Why? Because they are already sealed, with, with the election. They already been predestinated to be delivered. So they're not going to listen or follow a stranger. It says, this parable spake Yahushua unto them, but they understood not what things they were, which he spake unto them, because it wasn't time for them to understand. But pretty much he was speaking about those that were leading the flock astray, those that were there doing what they did for pay. Just like Caiaphas and them. They said what? They said, if we leave him alone, the Romans will come and take both our place, our place. Why? Because they were already set up into power. And that's what these individuals are, like Grandmaster Jay and others are doing. They've been paid off and they have a job to do. They have an agenda. Vocab Malone has an agenda. He's been paid off to fulfill this agenda. And on Vocab's part, what he's doing is he's casting doubt. He's indirectly saying that we're connected, but he's not really saying that we're connected. On the one side of his mouth, he's saying we're not connected, but on the other side of his mouth, he's saying that he has Hebrew Israelite tenets, the Edomite Hebrew Israelite slur. And that's why the title of his video is NFAC Hebrew Israelite Militia. As a question, no, not really, which is casting doubt. So is he really or is he not? And like I said in the beginning of the lesson, these individuals out here, these Jakes, they do not have the discernment to be able to distinguish, whether or not an individual is a part of this or not, based off of, them not being able, them not knowing the truth. All they got to hear is Black Hebrew Israelite. Oh, that's it, it's over. Because they're that ignorant. But that's because they're blinded. Shalaka, give me a second here. All right. Now let's go back. St. John 10:7. Then said Yahushua unto them again, verily, verily, I say unto you, I am the door of the sheep. See? So we established that Yahushua is the porter. All that ever came before me are thieves and robbers, because Yahushua is on his way. Back then, he was about to be born, and now he's on his way back to deliver his elect and destroy the wicked. But the sheep did not hear him. It says, and all that ever came before me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep did not hear them, just like the sheep are not hearing them now. I am the door. By me, if any man enter in, he shall be saved and shall go in and out and find pasture. And what is the pasture? Meaning this knowledge. I will give you pastures that will feed you with knowledge and understanding. So they will be able to graze, off of, this truth, the sheep. Because this truth, when it goes out, it's like pasture that the sheep eat. For what? For their nutrition, for their benefit. Same thing with this. This is a spiritual nutrition, spiritual food that the sheep can eat off of, so that they can be well nourished. It says, the thief cometh not before to steal and to kill and to destroy. This represents these sellouts, these Sambos. This represents these Edomites that are trying to infiltrate, that are casting doubt in people's minds, that are coming up with wayward philosophies and doctrines to try to offset what the Lord taught us. It says, I am come that they might have life and that they might have it more abundant. And that's Yahushua's mission. And that is the mission of the pastors or the shepherds of the Lord. I am the good shepherd giveth his life for the sheep, and he did. But he that is an hireling, now let's look up this word hireling real quick. And we get ready to close, you brothers already know, I mean, it's no big secret, of this guy. I mean, we've done many videos on spies and all that. Brothers have, a whole slew of brothers done videos on this. The apostles, elders, brothers have done a whole slew of videos on agents and spies and the scriptures going into spying and all that. I'm just, through the Spirit, just highlighting whatever the Spirit gives me to make the point even further. All right, so that's verse 12, St. John 10 and 12. Let's look up the word hireling. And we got mishtotos, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. A wage, worker, good or bad, hired servant, hireling. So pretty much this is a wage that's given to them. So they're working for what? For money. They're working for what the scriptures call filthy lucre's sake. Matter of fact, let's get there. Let me find that real quick. I know there's one in Timothy, but just bear with me. Filthy lucre. All right, so let's go. You know what? Let's go straight to Titus. Titus chapter. Let's go to Titus chapter 1. This is the book of Titus chapter 1. I'm going to read 7 first and then jump around. It says, for a bishop must be blameless as a steward of the Most High, not self-willed, not soon angry, not given to wine, no striker, not given to filthy lucre. Now let's look up that word filthy lucre. And I'm going to see if I can read some of you brothers' precepts. See if we can look up filthy lucre. Let's go to the book of 1 Timothy chapter 1 and 7. Is it 1 and 7? No, Titus, Salaka, Titus chapter 1 verse 7. Let's see, filthy lucre. It says, aiskrokerdes, given to greedy of filthy lucre. Doesn't really go into too much. Let's see what the Common Dictionary says for lucre, which is where you get the word lucrative from, which which means to like make money off of. Lucre. Informal terms for money. See, so it's like another way of saying money, like dough, dinero, bread, cabbage, escarole, loot, the excess of revenues over outlays in a given period of time. So filthy lucre is pretty much another fancy way of saying money. And the reason why it's filthy is because it's not pure. Because the way they obtained it was not through purity. It was through deceit. It was through deception and cunning craftiness. Yeah, and that's another thing that devil vocab said. He's not a Hebrew Israelite proper, but he adopts some of their tenets. So he's doing a lot of double speaking, man. All right, so let's go back to Titus 1. And let's jump down to the 9th verse. It says, holding fast the faithful word as he hath been taught, that he may be able by sound doctrine both to exhort and to convince the gainsayer. For there are many unruly and vain talkers and deceivers, especially they of the circumcision, whose mouths must be stopped. And the Lord is going to stop these devils' mouths, who subvert whole houses. The word subvert means to overturn. So here it is. Somebody would wake up, and then here it is. You have these devils out there, whether they're Jake or not, that will say certain things and deceive the hearts of the simple and turn them away from the truth. It says, whose mouth must be stopped, who subvert whole houses, teaching things which they ought not, for filthy lucre's sake. See? And that's what they're teaching for. And that's what this guy, Jam Master Jay, is all about. Teaching for filthy lucre's sake. Why? Because he is a hireling, someone that was paid to do a job. He's not doing this job from the heart. It's something that he was paid to do. Now let's read this verse and I'm going to get to the comment board. This is St. John 1 and 12. But he that is an hireling and not the shepherd, whose own the sheep are not, seeth the wolf coming, and leaveth the sheep, and fleeth, and the wolf catcheth them, and scattereth the sheep. The hireling fleeth because he is a hireling, and careth not for the sheep. So he really doesn't care for the sheep. Because let's say, which I believe that none of them Ku Klux Klan was coming out because they were told to stand down. You know, I believe that. You know, I believe that he already knew that they weren't going to come out. But you know, this is a part of his shtick. This is a part of his identity. You know, so he has to look like that. Because, be honest, you know, if them damn Ku Klux Klan would have came out today, outnumbered Jake. They would have mowed them Jakes down. You know? I mean, a couple of them may have escaped, but they would have mowed them down. So me personally, I believe they were told to stand down. I don't have any proof of it. That's just something I thought about when I was watching that whole thing, you know? But that's besides the point. So now let's get to some of these precepts on the comment board. And just bear with me, brothers, you know? Let's see. Okay, we got Psalms, Hebrew Israelite Yakanan, Psalms, Psalms 121 and 7. The Lord shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. And this is why we have to trust in Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai and in those names. But if you notice, this guy seems like he's sincere, which we know he's not. But then what did he do? He uses the name Yahweh. Then he'll say the Most High's name is Yehuda. Then he'll say Yahweh. So what is that doing? That's really not strengthening, but that's destroying, because that's putting a whole lot of different stumbling blocks in the way. But the only ones that will get stuck with those stumbling blocks are the ones that the Lord doesn't want. And that's why this is so beautiful. Your vocab Malones and your Grandmaster J's and your different philosophies and your so-called black conscious community and all that. Because these are all stumbling blocks as to where Jake starts to awaken to some form of consciousness. They will not get the proper breath if they're not part of the elect. Only the elect are going to get that proper breath. That's what Yahushua said, that he opens the door and no man can shut, and he shuts and no man can open. So Psalms, same brother, Psalms 127 and 8. The Lord shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in from this time forth, even forevermore. Beautiful. Same brother, Galatians 1 and 3. Grace be to you and peace from the power of the Father and from our Lord Yahushua, who gave himself for our sins, that he might deliver us from this present evil world. Beautiful. According to the will of the Most High and our Father. Yeah, because this world is evil, and you have individuals that have no concern for the sheep that are evil. And their whole job is to destroy, you know, the Hebrew Israelites. Yep, brother GMS Vegas, sit down, blood money. Yep. Aaron something, find pasture equals this precious truth and spiritual fellowship through humility and a great fear of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai B'Shem Kakodash. Yep, that's right. Thamyad, I reposted your video on my backup page, what you made Zaquan Manat Zakba, and that demon and agent activity was high at GMS Walk and Talk, South Carolina. Let's see what else we got. Hebrew Israelite Yakanan, 2 Timothy 4:17. Notwithstanding, the Lord stood with me and strengthened me, that by me the preaching might be fully known, and that all the Gentile Israelite foreigners might hear and I was delivered out of the mouth of the lion. Yep. And the Lord shall deliver me from every evil work, and will preserve me unto his heavenly kingdom, to whom be glory forever and ever. So be true. Yep, that's right. That's right. And pretty much, let me see. I'm a one I bad. Proverbs 14:17. It says, "He that is soon angry dealeth foolishly, and a man of wicked devices is hated." Yeah, that's beautiful. The 15th verse, same chapter. "The simple believeth every word, but the prudent man looketh well to his going." And they don't have the prudence to do that. "A wise man feareth and departeth from evil, but the fool rageth and is confident." That's right. And that's that dude, Grandmaster Jay. Elder Manatazakba, St. John 15:4. "Abide in me, and I in you, as a branch cannot bear fruit of itself, except it abide in the vine. No more can ye, except you abide in me." And that's right. And this guy is not abiding in Yahushai, because he's pretty much an agent. Verse 5, "I am the vine, ye are the branches. He that abideth in me, and I in him, the same bringeth forth much fruit. For without me you can do nothing." Yeah, that's why Yahushua said, "He that believeth on me, as the scripture have said, out of his belly shall flow rivers of living water." Verse 6, Yahushua saith unto him, "I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father but by me." And he also said that in St. John 6:44. Let me get that real quick. I know that's scripture by heart, but right now it's eluding me. St. John 6:44. "No man can come to me except the Father which hath sent me draw him, and I will raise him up at the last day." He also said in the same book of St. John 15 and the 16th verse, it says, "You have not chosen me, but I have chosen you and ordained you, that you should go and bring forth fruit, and that your fruit should remain, that whatsoever you shall ask of the Father in my name, he may give it you." There. And that is the job of the men of the Lord, is to go out there, and teach his word, and continue to grow in this faith, and continue to bring in fruit, and continue to dish out these meals as they're dished out to us. This is I'm a one I bad, Matthew 12:30. "He that is not with me is against me, and he that gathereth not with me scattereth abroad." That's right. And that's what these guys are doing, is scattering. They're scattering abroad. Yep, that's a good one. Galatians 2:4. "And that because of false brethren unawares brought in, who came in privately to spy out our liberty, which we have in Yahushua HaMashiach, that they might bring us into bondage." And that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to bring us into bondage. That's a good one too. Hebrew Israelite Yakanan. Job 12:16. "With him is strength and wisdom. The deceived and the deceiver are his." And that's pretty much what they're trying to do, man. They're trying to bring us into bondage. They're trying to lock us back up, physically and mentally, back into Esau's plantation Christianity, because that has worked for this devil for so long. But now he sees that slipping away, and he sees a lot of these jakes in the churches leaving plantation Christianity to come to their true nationality of being a Hebrew Israelite. And that's why this Hebrew Israelite thing is being persecuted and talked so much shit about, because it's doing a lot of damage to Esau's thing. Because remember, his whole thing is about control. He wants to control the whole world, because there's been a deception in the whole world, but then that deception was turned upside down. Let's go real quick to Isaiah chapter 60. We're about to close it out. Isaiah chapter 60, because I really don't really have too much more. Those are the main points that were brought out, that what Vocab is doing, although he's not saying that Grandmaster Jay and the NFAC is the Hebrew Israelite, he's indirectly implying that they are. You see? And that's the greatest weapon of the devil, besides the sword, is deception. Deception and deflection. And that's where you get the whole situation of controlled opposition, to where you make it seem like somebody's against the establishment, like in the capitalist conspiracy that Elder Apostle Gabar always speaks about. The capitalist conspiracy pretty much shows you how the elite, so-called elite, pay both sides. They pay the opposition and they pay the ones that are, you know, that are supposed to be for a particular purpose, which is this so-called New World Order. But let's read Isaiah 60:1 and we can close it out. Arise, shine, for thy light is come, and the glory of the Lord is risen upon thee. And this is why we're waking up as a people, because the light of the Lord has shined upon us. And the light of the Lord shined upon us in the midst of all this darkness, so to speak. It says, for behold, the darkness shall cover the earth. And it did at one time. And gross darkness to people. And the whole world was in darkness, including us at one time, until we were woken up. But the Lord, Yahweh, by Shem Yahushua, shall arise upon thee. How? By this word. And his glory shall be seen upon thee. See? And that's what's happening right now. The Lord said that he will set us up in order before their eyes. They're seeing it, they're getting nervous, and they're trying to find out how can they stop this. What's the best way to stop it without, you know, having to get physical? But eventually they will get physical, because it will be a physical thing that they'll do. You know, because the scriptures say that then, you know, that there's going to be a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord. And this is why this whole situation is being done, with the tying in of the NFAC, with the Hebrew Israelites, but they say black Hebrew Israelites, Grandmaster Jay, you know, they'll have them say certain terms like Edomites and things that we say, and the 12 tribes, you know, so that they can say, well, there's no difference between any of them, you know? And that's what it is, because the average person, I'll say it again, the average person out there, average Jake out there, does not have the ability to discern between the NFAC and what they're saying about black Hebrew Israelites with the Hebrew Israelites. They can't discern the spiritual from the carnal. And they are carnal. And the scriptures say that the weapons of our warfare are not carnal. The scriptures also say, resist not the powers that be. Meaning you can't fight against them. And that's the spirit this guy's coming in. Like the Judas and the Thutis, you know, individuals. Like the Egyptian that led a revolt against the Roman Empire back then, who that captain mistaken the Apostle Paul for. And that's the whole thing. You know, they're setting the whole stage up so that when they come, there's not going to be a discernment to who they're going to come and get. They're going to come and get everyone that calls himself a Hebrew Israelite. And they know who it is. They have our IP addresses. They see the videos we're watching. They see our text, you know, whatever application we have. They see our calls. They monitor everything. And they know everything that's going on. Remember, they have the red list, the blue list, and the yellow or green list. And you better believe that we're on the red list. You know? But I say is bring it on. Do what you got to do so that the Lord Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua can take you out. And I pray the Lord hurry up and let this devil do what they got to do to get it over with, so that we can be out of here and be in the kingdom once and for all and not have to worry about this shit. Because sometimes the anticipation, you know, of waiting, you know, for it is, you know, kind of, it's like a shirt that rubs your neck, and after a while it chafes it, and you got to keep pulling it away because it's irritating. It gets irritating. But nevertheless, it's in the Lord's time. The Lord said, wake not my love till he please. You know, wait ye upon me, you know, and that's what it is, you know, bottom line. So with that, I pray that your brothers have been edified. Watch out for those agents, you know, in your camps, your spies, your police, you know, the detectives and all that, the undercovers in your surroundings. You know, just keep your eyes open, you know, and if you see any funny business, just handle that business. Say, look, man, you got to go. You're suspended. You know, because, you know, these agents, that's what they do. They'll join an organization, then they'll do some stupid shit, which is planned, and then they'll blame it on the whole organization. And that's what that movie Asher was all about, which never came out. You know, it was about still trying to tie the Hebrew Israelites to a terroristic thing. That's why anytime someone in the news shoots somebody and they may have been watching videos, oh, they were Hebrew Israelites. You know, that's why Vocab Malone indirectly is saying that these guys are NFAC are connected with us, although he's saying they're not. But he says sometimes they act like Christians, sometimes they act like Hebrew Israelites, you know. So you got to watch these devils. They're very clever, very cunning. So with that, I pray that your brothers have been edified. Till the next time I say shalom.